Hi everyone, so this is a very last minute video. I planned to film it last night, but my mental health, like I keep saying, it's at its lowest, and I'm trying to not make it worse. And obviously talking about what the police are doing to me is affecting me on top of what they're doing, basically. So I'm trying to just not put too much stress on myself or put myself in the situation where I get upset, but also I obviously need to show what they're doing to me, what they're putting me through, and how they're continuously lying about me, because it's easier to attack me rather than deal with the neighbours who have harassed me for over 18 months and harassed another family. And even though the police have got evidence of numerous crimes, refusing to charge them with it because it's just easier to pick on me, basically, because they know I will stand up for myself. Now, I do believe there's police officers on here actually leaving comments, because based on some of the things that I've had to delete and what's been said, it's the things that have been said to me by police officers and also how they describe some people. So I think it's quite pathetic and also bullying that there's police officers using secret IDs on here to leave quite nasty comments and try and bring me down further. But that just goes to show what they're really like. So I will address one thing for those who are skipping videos and saying I'm not telling you what's actually going on. If you watch the video that I originally posted, like, what was it, 2 weeks ago nearly, where PC Stainton's in my house and I asked him to leave because he, as you'll hear in the video, he's basically saying that I am filing false reports, which I'm not. I'm filing reports that are true, and they've got screen recordings. I screen record every single one, and I am reporting the truth. They're basically saying that the video that I'm attaching to the reports, which they claim they can't view, but apparently they've somehow viewed it, even though I've got recordings of police officers asking me for videos, because they tell me that when you report stuff online, it doesn't actually, when they get the report, they don't get the video. So I highly doubt these videos have even been watched. So that's another lie from the police, because why did they contact you and ask you for the evidence that you've already uploaded when apparently they can now view it? So they need to make their mind up which is the truth and which isn't the truth. But as I say in my reports, the neighbours are stamping their feet and making noise in hope that it will trigger the camera, because they realise that noises made near the top of my path or on the top of my path or in a couple of other areas will not only trigger the Ring door camera, which then triggers the loud chime in the house, which also sets off the Alexas making a lot of noise. So it doesn't happen every single time, which I put in reports and which my dad has also told them, because my dad witnessed it as well, and they're trying to stop him from reporting it. But by the time the camera comes on, they're either in front of the hedge so you can't see the feet anymore, or they do it coming from the hedge side, so by the time they get in front of the path, they've already triggered it and they're just walking normally. And I say that in reports that by the time the camera comes on, they're not doing it. Or if I don't put that in the report, I'll just say they've triggered it and I put the video on. I am not once saying in the report that the video actually shows them doing it, because it doesn't. Because what they're doing is stamp, stamp, walk, 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 walk. So, like I said, most of the time it goes off. Some of the time it doesn't go off. It just depends. It's like yesterday, and this just shows that Ring cameras don't start filming immediately, and sometimes they don't film at all. Yesterday, a delivery guy came to my house. It didn't even trigger the Ring door camera at all. And that was probably because 5 minutes before, my dad was in and out the house a few times. So obviously the Ring camera got tied up, or whatever you want to call it. I'm not technical. So my dad left, and then 5 minutes later, this delivery guy came. didn't even trigger it at all. So that just goes to show that sometimes the camera doesn't go off. And I think yesterday the postman came and it didn't go off until he was walking back up the path again. So that just goes to show that no, the camera doesn't always go off immediately. And everyone who owns a Ring door camera, which all these neighbours do that are doing this, you know that like the motion happens and then the camera comes on, but it doesn't come on the second you do the motion. It actually takes a second or two for it to start the camera. And they're fully aware of that. And I put this in the report, so my dad's also reported this. They know that the camera doesn't immediately come on because it has to detect a motion. So if you stamp your feet, it detects the motion, but by the time the camera starts filming, if you've stopped the motion, all it's going to do is film whatever it's going to film for how many seconds it's going to film it for. And I make it clear in the reports. And in the reports where I don't make it clear, I just say such and such triggered the camera. And I know it's them because I've got footage of them walking away or whatever I've wrote. I've never once said that the footage actually shows them doing it because they're very clever about it. And my dad has been out there and tried to set off the camera the same way because he's like, how are they doing it? And it doesn't happen every time. And he's been here when they've been doing it, and he hears them stamping the feet, and then it'll go off, or he'll hear them stamping the feet and it doesn't go off. So it doesn't always go off. But I've never once said that the video actually shows them doing it. I'm sending the video showing who's done it. And I've made it clear in the reports. And I've made it clear that they're stamping the feet for once or twice or 1 or 2 seconds. And then they're stopping and walking normally. And also I have videos of them. If it doesn't go off, I'll go on the camera to see who's doing it. And I have videos of them turning around to look at the door to see why it hasn't actually gone off. So I can prove it's deliberate, but the police, because they don't like all the reports I'm doing, because they don't want to deal with it and they look bad because they're not actually doing nothing about the reports, they decided to target me and say I'm lying. But I've never once said in any reports, which I'm more than happy to share. And I am trying to edit together a video showing some of the contents of the reports. But obviously, when I'm naming someone in the report, I have to try and edit that out. And it's very difficult to edit the name out and keep in a lot of the other stuff because I can't show the names in the videos. But I am not once saying the video images that I'm sending is actually showing them doing it. It's evidence of who's just set it off. But because the police are obviously looking really bad at this point by ignoring 800 reports, if not more, they're deciding they're going to have to target me to make it look like I'm lying. So I haven't not said why the police are attending my house, like suggested by an obvious police officer leaving a very vicious comment. If you watch the videos and actually listen to what I'm saying, which you clearly didn't, and you're just trying to target me, when the only one here's telling the truth is me and I can back it up with evidence, you can hear what he's saying to me at the start, and then I say to him that's not actually true, but he doesn't want me to say that because he's recording me and he doesn't want to give my side of it, because obviously then he'll have the evidence on his camera, although we all know that footage will somehow disappear. He didn't properly do what he was meant to do. He's actually meant to have an appropriate adult present, which the police are fully aware of. And also he didn't properly caution me if you listen to the video. And he also didn't give me the ticket that he's apparently trying to give me. Now, obviously, I rang my solicitor when he had left my property. My solicitor was in court at the time, because my solicitor goes to court a lot, because that's what he does, obviously. And so I'm just trying to find my call log. So I rang my solicitor at 11:37. Obviously, the police officer left like at 36:37. I rang him straight away. And I left an answer phone message, and I got a text message saying to like text him, so I also texted him as well. And he rang me back at 12:25, so obviously court was on the break. And I spoke to him, and he basically told me to get the ticket off him in person, because it has to be actually physically given to me. They can't put it through your letterbox, which they said they've actually done since, but all they did was put through an envelope. There was nothing in it that I could find, unless they put it on invisible paper, I don't know. But my solicitor is saying they actually have to physically give you this piece of paper. They can't serve a fine on you or whatever they're trying to give you by putting it through your letterbox. Now, I immediately told them that it got shredded, and it's 2 weeks ago tomorrow that they put it through the... Oh, was it on the Thursday that they did it? I can't remember what day they did it that week. It was the day after. But they've not been back to give it to me. They've not tried to arrange for me to get it off them. So my solicitor said, like, it can't be activated. Like, how many weeks? I think you get 3 weeks to respond to it. They can't start that date until they've actually physically given it to you. Now, seeing as they've not given it to me and they've not tried to make arrangements for me to get it off them, they can't say, oh, it's got such and such a date on. They've not physically given it me, so they've not given me the 3 weeks to respond, because they've actually not given it to me. Now, coming to my house and saying they've put it through the letterbox, they haven't put it through the letterbox. They've put an envelope through the letterbox to make it look like they've given it to me. But even so, they've not actually physically given it to me, and he's saying that they have to. Now, I will read a part of an email that I got off my solicitor regarding this, that I got yesterday. He's put, the ticket isn't properly issued until it has been served on you. You would need to make arrangements with the police to receive it. So they're saying they've given it me. They've not actually physically given it me. Now, seeing as they would be recording me, they would have evidence of giving it to me, which they haven't, because as you know, PC Stainton got marched out the house because my doctor told me to stand up for myself. Because this is another thing that a bully boy has left in the comments, which I've deleted because it was quite a vile email, vile comment. My doctor told me to stand up for myself because there was a time, a few years ago, something happened to me and someone informed the police of their version of it, which wasn't even the truth because I'd not even told them what had happened. And I got bullied by DC Melissa Chadwick, now at Burnley Police, into doing a ABE interview, which was totally against what I wanted, but I was forced into it. Now, the me from 3-4 years ago is a totally different person to what I am now. I had zero confidence, and I basically did everything I was told. And DC Melissa Chadwick ruined my life. I have PTSD because of what she did and what she was allowed to do, until eventually she got transferred to Burnley because her behaviour was so outrageous. She was ignoring a supervision, like she was ignoring the inspector, she was ignoring everyone. And she was on this mission because I wouldn't cooperate, because she was making me ill. Well, she made me ill. I tried to commit suicide 3 times. One of the times, they allowed her to attend the hospital after I'd taken an overdose because of her. And she had me on the floor crying, trying to get all sorts out of me that she thought I was lying about. And it turns out I wasn't lying. And they had to admit I wasn't lying and that she was out of order. So I was saying to my doctor, this and this has happened. And I was so distraught. And it took me months to tell my doctor because I wasn't telling anyone anything. And it's on my medical records. And my doctor even wrote to the police telling them that I have severe anxiety surrounding the police. And she actually at that time banned them from talking to me because of how they were affecting me. Now, the police have deliberately stopped me from having any communication with my doctor, even though they know I need her help for like my mental health and physical health. They know that if I start telling her how they're making me feel, that she can intercept and stop them from having any contact with me. So they've gone out the way to make sure that I've had no contact with my doctor and that I don't get to speak to my doctor, even though they're fully aware my physical health has been quite horrific and that they've affected my mental health so much that I actually need to see a doctor. So, but they don't want me to see the doctor because they know I will tell her what they're doing to me, how they're making me feel, and the effect it's having on me. So they're doing all they can to kind of alienate me away from the help that I actually need. And this is how corrupt it's actually getting now. I mean, saying how it's actually getting, it's been corrupt all along. But the reason I do stand up for myself with the police as much as I can, because I am scared of them, but I'm not going to ring them up and go, yeah, I'm scared of you, because they know I'm scared of them. But I am going to stand up for myself, because I'm not going to end up in a DC Melissa Chadwick situation where I was not sleeping, I wasn't looking after myself, I kept getting really ill physically, I was in hospital with my physical health, I wasn't looking after myself, I couldn't cope because of what she was doing to me. And for the years afterwards, my doctor helped me gain confidence, because I didn't have any confidence. I wasn't standing up for myself, and she's like, you need to stand up for yourself with the police. They can't do this, they can't do this. Don't let them talk to you like that. They have no right to do that. And she was constantly telling me to stand up for myself and not let them push me around. And she said, if you don't want to do something, don't do it. And that's what was happening with Melissa Chadwick. I was so scared of her, and I thought I had to do what she was telling me to do, that I was doing things I didn't want to do. So when I did say no, or I didn't want to, that's when she started to be quite vicious, and she was constantly turning up, constantly ringing me, constantly being very nasty to me. I mean, once she was so nasty to me, I was like, I can't live anymore. And I took off to Devon, over 300 miles away, and I started to film videos. Do you know, like when you write suicide notes, I was doing videos, because I couldn't physically write anything because I was just so distraught. I was doing videos to leave so people had answers to why I took my own life. And the day before I was going to take my own life, Chadders found me. I call her Chadders, by the way, that's a little nickname. I mean, my dad refers to her as the most evil woman on the planet, because he saw what she was doing. But she actually found me, not physically, because I had a police issue panic alarm because of the reason why Chadders was involved. I mean, I probably needed it because of her. I took it with me because I didn't feel safe without it. And I forgot to turn it off when I got to Devon, because, I actually left it in my car. And she tracked the car a few days later, which wasn't parked directly outside where I was staying, but obviously then she ran round a few places, and then she got the right place, because I stupidly, because I was so distressed, used my own name. I think if you ever try and disappear and you're going to take your own life and you go somewhere, I think you're not meant to use your own name, but I didn't think of that at the time. So then Chadder's buddy is on the phone. I'm there suicidal, and she made me feel much worse. And she was on the phone ages, and then when she realised, I was about to put the phone down and go and do something, she put on a nice act. I mean, that probably hurt her a lot, because from experience of her, I don't think she is nice. And then she kept me on the phone, and I didn't realise that, she was keeping me on the phone because Devon police were on the way. Who, by the way, nicest police force I've ever dealt with. I had these two nice male officers, really nice, really understanding. They knew, obviously, I was there because I was very distraught, and they knew, whatever, and they were just so nice to me. They weren't, do you know where you get coppers and they turn up and they just bully you and they talk to you like you're a piece of crap? They weren't like that at all. They were super friendly. They were asking me how I am. They were just and then they just had, do you know when they just have a general conversation about just random stuff? That's how they were with me. And it made me feel a million times better after speaking to Chadders. And of course I pretended I was better than what I was, because I just wanted them to go away. And they were just so nice to me, the nicest police officers I've probably ever met. I mean, I know they're still police at the end of the day, but they were nice to me, and it was what I needed at that point. And then when they left, they said, give it 5-10 minutes and then ring Chadders back. I rang her back, and she was an evil you-know-what from hell. So that just goes to show that act she put on was nothing but an act. Anyway, I obviously didn't take my life, because I ended up speaking to the owner of the hotel, because she said that she knew something was going on when I turned up. She said she thought there was more to the story of me just going away by myself, which was the first time I'd been away by myself. I have been away by myself since, but yeah, it was the first time I went away by myself. And she's like, I knew there was something up. And she was like, don't let that Chadder's whim. You need to just, when you go back home, just don't let her bully you anymore. I don't think she was ever... Oh, she was given one more... Oh, she did two more things. She tried to section me once, which didn't actually work. Actually, I'll do a full story about that. I won't go into the video. It's quite an amusing video. It just shows how... Anyway, I won't comment on that. Anyway, so that's why I stand up for myself, because I had years of my doctor building up my confidence. Like, my doctor was amazing with me. We used to have these really long appointments where we'd talk about lots of things, and obviously the police got brought up a lot. And this is why the police don't want me to see my doctor, because they know she can intercept and put a stop on them being in contact with me. And they've kind of put a wedge between me and my doctor. So... But because of her, I did get a lot of confidence, and I do stick up for myself with the police now. And when the police first started to get involved in the neighbourhood harassment 18 months ago, I wasn't very confident at all. I was nervous all the time. I was nervous around the police when they were coming to speak to me about what was happening, and I was trying to show PC Stainton evidence, which he refused to watch the most of it. And then he admitted he had a hearing issue, so he couldn't hear some of the footage. So really, he shouldn't have been dealing with it if he has an hearing issue. And if you've got a hearing issue, should you be looking at evidence? That's the question. And maybe he should get some hearing aids and he might have better hearing. I don't know. If you've got a hearing problem, you should have it sorted out, because if you're viewing evidence and you're saying... Because you get going, I can't hear them saying that. And I'm like, but they are saying that. And he's like, well, I can't hear it. And then he admitted he had a hearing issue. So surely they should have got someone else to look at the footage, which they never did. So that's why I stand up for myself. So, yeah, I do stand up for myself, but I am scared of them. They hold a lot of power. They can make up lies like they're saying on filing false reports because the video doesn't show them doing it. Well, I've made it clear in the reports that I'm showing them video of who's done it. I've never once said they're actually doing the action in the video. So, yeah, that's what they're trying to do. And if you watch the video, instead of leaving nasty comments... Watch the video, you can hear him saying that they're accusing me of filing false reports when I'm not filing false reports. I've got screen records of every single one. They just are trying to do something about me because they look bad because they've ignored 700-800 reports by this point, and I'm not even exaggerating on the number. So them saying I've got 3 weeks from the date they've issued it, they've not actually physically given it to me. And that's the point I've got to bring up. When I spoke to my solicitor on the day that PC Stainton came here and intimidated me and left me absolutely shaking in fear. When I shut the front door on him and I had my back to the door, I was literally on the phone to my dad, crying on the phone to my dad, shaking, because I was petrified of him. They sent round the biggest, tallest police officer they've got there to intimidate me, basically. When my solicitor rang me back that day, he told me to ring PC Stainton back and arrange for him and me to, like, meet, probably at my solicitor's office, because there's no way I will see the police otherwise, and get it off him. So I did leave an answer phone message, and I'm going to insert it now.
Welcome to the EE voicemail. I'm sorry, but the person you've called is not available. Please leave your message after the tone. After you've finished your message, just hang up. Or to hear more options, please press 1.
Hi PC Stainton, can you please phone me back when you've got time? Thank you. So, as you can see, I did ring PC Stainton back and he totally ignored me. Now, the next day, this happened. And as you're also aware, I was on the phone to a DC at the time who heard my change in voice and knew that I was extremely distressed. She rang the neighbourhood team and told them how I was feeling, and they said they'd put a ticket through the door, or they were trying to put a ticket through the door. I've told them all immediately the dog shredded it. They've not once tried to give it back to me, and then they're saying that like it's 3 weeks from it's being issued. Well, it's not actually been issued to me. So until they actually physically give it to me, the 3 weeks don't technically start. So yet again, they're going, she's got it, she's running out of time. So yet again, they're being corrupt. Yet again. So, do you know what I mean? I need Maggie Oliver on my side if anyone wants to pass this on to, if anyone knows Maggie Oliver, because the police are actually so corrupt. And I can tell you all sorts of stuff about the corruption that's gone on. And I do have evidence of it, which they don't like. And this is why they're targeting me. Instead of dealing with the issue, which is the neighbours harassing me day and night, they're also harassing an 83-year-old and an 86-year-old. The 86-year-old has dementia, as well as harassing other people. They're just targeting me because I'm filing all the reports, and they're looking bad because they're not dealing with the reports. So instead of dealing with the reports, they're trying to make out I'm lying in my reports, which I'm not. So that's where we're up to. Any questions, leave them down below. I will delete comments that are clearly from police officers.